If you're a faithful watcher of this channel, then you've probably seen my video on Adolph Metzger, the young bugler who apparently fought so bravely during the Fetterman fight that his was the only body not mutilated by the victorious native warriors. In fact, he was found covered with a buffalo robe. Well, a few months ago, I received the latest edition of the Fort Phil Kearny Bozeman Trail Association newsletter, which started this whole train in motion. An article in the newsletter mentions a recently rediscovered book, which has been left nearly undisturbed for decades in a Harvard University library. This book contains 77 authentic Lakota drawings dating from the late 1860s, during the time of Red Cloud's War. It's titled The Pictorial Autobiography of Half Moon, an Unkpapa Sioux Chief. According to a handwritten introduction, the book originally belonged to a man named J.S. Moore, who was killed by a chief named Half Moon on the Bozeman Trail around September of 1866. Half Moon supposedly took the book and used it to draw his own exploits. When Half Moon was killed during the Battle of the Rosebud in June 1876, his body was left in state along the Little Bighorn, where Army soldiers discovered it and his book after Custer's last stand. Chief Half Moon is a fictional guy, but it's still a decent story that would probably have generated some decent book sales. A Harvard professor, Castle McLaughlin, has analyzed the drawings and wrote her own book about the original book, a Lakota war book from the Little Bighorn, the pictographic autobiography of Half Moon. An analysis of a primary source document like this sounds like it'd be right up my alley. Let's see if we can order a copy and, out of print. Well, on Amazon, you can get a copy of the professor's book for 1,800 bucks. Hey, babe, I found a used copy online for $350. Think if we do a garage sale and use the dog's treat money, we can afford it. What do you think? Don't worry, the doggy treat money is safe, but it does mean that Professor McLaughlin's book is going to have to wait for another day. Fortunately, the Fort Phil Kearny Bozeman Trail Association article did provide some details of our research we can go off, and most importantly, the website where we can view scans of the original source book. By analyzing the drawings, their composition, and the techniques used to create them, Professor McLaughlin has concluded it wasn't one person who made the drawings, but 6 different artists, whom she identifies by the letters A through F. A few of the drawings feature this guy who McLaughlin calls Artist B, a warrior depicted wearing black with a breastplate, striped leggings, and a red sash. In a few of the drawings, he wears a feathered war bonnet, and he's usually drawn mounted on a black and blue horse with a white sock on a foreleg. McLaughlin believes this warrior is High Backbone, a Minneconjou war chief. There's a lot that's unknown about High Backbone. His age is believed to have been somewhere between 30 and 50. We do know he was very influential in both the Oglala and Minneconjou circles. With war looming on the horizon in 1866, many of the tribes traded their civilian leadership for wartime consiglieres like High Backbone. He mentored Crazy Horse, and the two were known to be tight. They were boys, homies. It was High Backbone that led the Minneconjou contingent of warriors that helped annihilate Captain William Fetterman and his 80 men. The Fetterman fight was High Backbone's high water mark. Lakota oral tradition tells that he was killed a few years later, sometime during the fall or winter of 1870, in a battle with Eastern Shoshone warriors. For more information on that, we have to turn to Chief Washakie, who led the Eastern Shoshone through most of the later 19th century. If you've spent a decent amount of time in Wyoming, you're familiar with Chief Washakie. For those who aren't familiar with him, he's basically a combination of Abraham Lincoln and Rambo. Near the end of Washakie's life, he gave the commander of the nearby army post this hide, which Washakie decorated with scenes from his life. At the bottom center of the hide, Washakie drew himself on horseback next to a fallen Lakota warrior. Washakie described this warrior as a big Sioux war chief and Crazy Horse's brother. Now, Crazy Horse did have a younger half-brother named Little Hawk, but he wasn't a chief. However, Washakie's description fits High Backbone to a T, and visually, the figure Washakie painted appears to match the same person McLaughlin identified as High Backbone. By now I can hear you asking, well, what does this have to do with anything? Well, because of what's on page 154 of the source book. On that page, High Backbone is drawn attacking a clean-shaven soldier. The soldier is dismounted but wears light blue pants with a yellow stripe, cavalry NCO pants. A bugle hangs on a red sash around the soldier's neck. Unlike some of the subjects in High Backbone's other drawings, this soldier is not running away, but faces his attacker head on. In his hands appears to be some type of rifle that he points at the charging warrior. High Backbone is returning fire with an arrow at the soldier. Could it be that this drawing depicts Adolf Metzger's last moments? I don't know how many buglers were killed on the upper plains in the late 1860s, but it couldn't have been that many. It's confirmed that High Backbone led warriors at the battle where Corporal Metzger lost his life. After the battle, multiple native sources noted how the soldier with the noisemaker fought courageously. Soldiers collecting the bodies of the fallen observed how Corporal Metzger's body was the only one not mutilated by the victors. Instead, he had been covered with a buffalo robe, a high honor from his adversaries. If this drawing is of Corporal Metzger's death, it helps us put other puzzle pieces into place, like, for example, how Metzger's body remained unmutilated after the battle. If High Backbone had seen Metzger's final struggle and been so inclined, he could have given the order to leave his body alone. Such an order would have been obeyed, coming from a man as respected as High Backbone. There's obviously a lot about the Fetterman fight that we'll never know for certain, but this drawing of two men from different cultures fighting each other to the death illuminates our understanding of how the artist felt about the encounter. Now, a lot of this is just educated theory on my part, and rebuttals are authorized. So, what do you think? Is there something to this? Am I on the right track? Leave your thoughts in a comment, and while you're doing that, I'd appreciate it if you could hit that thumbs up button so this video can reach more people. And if you know somewhere where I can read Castle McLaughlin's book without sacrificing my doggy treats fund, please let me know. My pups would appreciate it too. Thanks for watching. Hey, Lace. Anything you want to say to the people? You're a good puppy, ain't you?